Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex here on the South Side. Bob Pompiani, soon to be joined by Missy Matthews. Thank you for joining us here on KDK Plus and all the Steeler digital platforms as the Steelers get ready for a home game against the Cleveland Browns. The second meeting in 3 weeks between these two division foes. Cleveland won the first one. The Steelers are looking at a little retribution coming up here on Sunday. Cleveland played last night. High-scoring affairs. They lost by 11, and Jameis Winston threw the ball 58 times in that game. 42-31, lost to Denver. So they'll come in here on a short week. The Steelers are coming off a very impressive win on the road in that they had to engage in a shootout, and they did by winning 44-38. Lots of great responses by the Steelers after Cincinnati would score. They threw the ball a lot, 414 yards for Russell Wilson, 10 different receivers in play there. And the defense, when called upon, had to make big plays at big moments, which is how you stop a team like Cincinnati, specifically with Joe Burrow, with strip sacks, an interception, fumble return for a touchdown, all those things that the Steeler defense is known to do. So they win that game. They get to 9 wins and 3 losses. Couple that with a Baltimore loss the other day to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now it's essentially a 2-game lead over the Ravens in the standings as they go down the stretch with 5 games left, and this schedule gets harder as it goes. So a big game coming up against Cleveland on Sunday. You'll see it on KDK TV. We begin 11:30 a.m. and afterwards 2 hours of post game with Chris Hoke. So join us for that. But the good thing about this game is you saw some plays over the middle of the field. Cincinnati was leaving that vacant, and the Steelers took advantage of it. And sometimes you just have to do that. Running backs coming out of the backfield, sometimes on a delayed fashion, making little catches and turning them into big first down gains. The Steelers only had to get to third down 9 times in this game, which pretty much tells you the success they were having on first and second down, and that's always a preferred outcome for an offense for sure. Pat Freiermuth got more involved with a big 25-yard touchdown catch in that game. And as I said, 10 different receivers got in play. Russell Wilson very comfortable, it seems now, with how things are going in this offense. His team seems to be very confident in him and what they do. So it's a good mixture moving down the stretch as the Steelers now get to 9 wins and 3 losses. As I said, Cleveland, last time they played, it was Myles Garrett who had a significant impact in this game. But Dan Moore responded this week by handling the guy with the #1 sack total in the NFL in Trey Hendrickson. So he'll be looking for that sort of response again when Myles Garrett and the Browns come to town on Sunday afternoon. Right now, Mike Tomlin is ready to address the media, so let's take you to that press conference right now.
Good afternoon. As always, I'll start with a quick review of our last performance. As I mentioned post-game, man, I was just really appreciative of the fight, of the collective's ability to smile in the face of adversity, things that happen all the time in play, but just to display that collective mettle, the ability to respond in negative circumstance and produce playmaking. I think that's required, obviously, in the thick of your schedule in division play as the road gets narrow. It's just good to experience those things in the pursuit of victory. And there were several displays of it. Obviously, the game didn't get started the way that we would like in terms of the pick six, but I just like the offense's quick response to that in terms of taking the ball and going back down the field. I thought the offense, in several circumstances, displayed the type of complementary response that you need from an offense. Whether it was a turnover response like that or a response to a scoring drive by Cincinnati's offense, I just love that component of our play that was on display. I also liked our red zone execution. We've talked openly about utilization of the mini buy in that way in an effort to be more effective in that area. You're not going to win many games, particularly high-scoring games like we were in last Sunday, unless you're going up by 7 as opposed to by 3. Hopefully we use that as a catalyst to continue along those lines as we push into December. On the other side of the ball, when you're going against the likes of Joe Burrow and Chase and Higgins, you're going to be challenged, man, and I just like that group's collective fight. I thought early in the game in particular we didn't do a good enough job of managing Joe in terms of his ability to extend, stepping up and running up at times into the pocket in an effort to make plays. We focused a lot of energies on minimizing that. I thought we warmed up to that component of play. I thought we settled it down some in the second half with a variety of fronts and calls and so forth, and obviously the effort of our guys You're going to need some turnovers to get out of an environment like that, and can't say enough about the efforts, not only in terms of the general playmaking, but the ball awareness. The hunting of the football is required. The three takeaways, obviously, one being a return for a score was a significant component in terms of how the game played out. I didn't like, a couple of things that happened in the special teams game. I thought they had the field position component of it. Our kickoff units didn't pin them back well enough. We deferred and chose to kick off, but I think they got the ball on the plus side of the 30. And when we make that decision, man, we're trying to fight for blades of grass. And, any yard that you get on the opposite side of the 30 is an advantage for us, and not so when you don't. And so we need to get better in that area. And also we got a kick blocked, and, we can't allow anything to minimize the exploits and talents of Boz. It's automatic, and so we got to shore up those things, in particular because when you have stuff on tape in the NFL, you better respond quickly, appropriately in terms of minimizing it. Errors like that provide focus and agendas for others, and so we're preparing with an edge, understanding that as we get ready to go this week. From a health standpoint, a couple things of note. Fully expect Alex Highsmith to be available to us this week. We got some other guys that might position themselves for the consideration as well. Corey Trice, Mon Adams, Calvin Austin is in the concussion protocol, and so we'll follow the medical experts there and let them provide us appropriate information about where he is and what the prospects of his participation might be based on that. Now let's get back, and I say let's get back because it feels like I was just talking about Cleveland. Let's get back to Cleveland. If you saw the game last night, man, you saw what they're capable of with Dorsey as a play caller and Winston as a quarterback. There was some explosive playmaking. They went up and down the field. Judy had a big night. And that's what I meant when I described him as a gunslinger a couple of weeks ago when we played him, man. He's got unbelievable arm talent. He was the first pick in the draft, and you're not the first pick in the draft for no reason, man. He's got arm strength. He's got accuracy. He's got trajectory. He can place the ball just about anywhere on the field. He's a big-time competitor to boot. He never turns down competition. He's going to fight to win possession downs and things of that nature, man. We got to do a really good job of matching that competitive spirit, making our plays, knowing that there's a potential that you could give some up, man, when a guy comes at you the way he does and with the amount of weaponry that he has at his disposal. I'll talk about some of those weapons. Can't say enough about Njoku, man, and his growth and development over his time in Cleveland. He's a splash play guy. He's down the field in a lot of ways. He's really good in the underneath rhythm passing to get spot drop zones. And so he's a big play guy and a high volume guy. He does a real nice job in max protection. They balance out the max protection by hitting him on check downs and throwing tight end screens. It's kind of always been a function of their ball since he's been there. We got to be thoughtful about who we put on him and when. He's a big-time red zone threat. He got big in the red zone against us for a 2-point play. He got big last night in the red zone as well. It shows up consistently, and so it's something to be reckoned with, his talents and the way that they utilize his talents. Judy is a route runner. They move him around quite a bit to make it difficult for you to match up on him. But they do a really nice job of utilizing his skill set. There's not a route that he can't run. He gets in and out of breaks really well. He's capable of going by you in terms of the vertical passing game. He could create space and separation in the non-vertical passing game with his short area quicks. Moore and the others, man, will round out the group. Both of the running backs, and I say both backs because, man, they're utilizing Ford equally as much as they are Mr. Chubb at this juncture, and so we got to respect that component of it as well. We're always ready and respectful of the talents of Chubb. His pick and vision and patience and ball placement, his contact balance, all of those things are top tier. That's why he's had the career that he's had, and we've had some high quality matchups against him in the past, and so we're working with an edge with that understanding, and with the evolution of Jerome Ford during his absence, man, they've got an awesome 1-2 punch. Ford is big play capable. When he came out in the draft, I think he had the most explosion plays of any running back in his draft class, and I think that's still evident in his play today. He's capable of some breakout runs. He had a big one last night as well. And so, just minimizing who they are and how they divide their labor up and getting more familiar with their offense under the current circumstances is a challenge. We got familiarity because of the continuity there and obviously the divisional relationship component. But with Dorsey being a relatively new play caller and Winston being new to this division, there are a lot of things that kind of have our attention in an appropriate way to make sure that we're positioning ourselves for the high-level strategy that takes place when you're in divisional ball, particularly the second time around. On the other side of the ball, we didn't do a good enough job of minimizing Myles Garrett in the first game. Man, he was significant, not only his playmaking, but the energy that he provides, his teammates, their followers. He made some significant plays early on in that game that made it tough uphill sledding the rest of the way for us. But it's not just the beginning of the game. It's over the course of the entirety of the game. We better work to minimize his impact. They do some awesome things to challenge you in that way. They move him around quite a bit, both edges. He also plays on the interior. We better do a really good job in one-dimensional moments, obviously. You get behind the chains, possession downs, et cetera. He's at his best in those moments, and not only is he looking to close the door in terms of the pocket, but he's always ball searching and has been highly productive in that area as well. He's got a well-rounded group along with him. Tomlinson is a core interior guy and run stopper. They do a nice job on the second level playing behind that collective. Jordan Hicks was fresh off an injury the last time we played him. He's really probably showing that he's gaining some traction in terms of play, being back in the fold and being a central communicator and in the mix at just about everything that they do on the second level. And then they got a veteran secondary, one that's been together for a number of years. They got 3 top-flight corners that's been there a number of years. Can't say enough about Denzel Ward, his awareness, his eyes, his ball skills. He made a nice play last night. That's not surprising in any way. But just that overall collective. Newsome is a former first-rounder that plays. Emerson, obviously, is, I think, former third-rounder. Those guys have been together, that collective, for a number of years. They got a veteran safety tandem that plays very solidly as well. Can't say enough about Delpit and his versatility, all the things that he does for them. He plays linebacker in one-dimensional passing circumstances. He's often the down safety and run fits. He's a good blitzer. He covers tight ends in one-dimensional passing circumstances as well. And so, man, we got a lot of things to get prepared for, but I'm sure they have a similar posture. The familiarity makes it fun and challenging at the same time. I'm excited about getting started with this process, man, and continuing with our divisional journey. No rest for the weary. I'm excited about getting back to it this week in the confines of Acrisure. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Mike, after what you saw from your offense in Cincinnati and what you saw with the Browns last night against a pretty good defense, are you more comfortable now than, say, maybe early in the season playing in a shootout if you have to?
I don't know that I'm ever comfortable playing in a shootout. It's just my background and my expertise, to be quite honest with you. I respect offenses and talented players, and I acknowledge when we're faced with stiff challenges, but it doesn't mean that I'll ever be comfortable in those circumstances. I have certain expectations because of my professional journey on defense that I expect us to slow those things down and minimize some of that. In the rare instances that we don't, I'm thankful that we have an offense that's capable of matching it.
Mike, I know you don't have control over the schedule and don't care about it, but whenever you have a game like this, it's so fresh, like against Cleveland, does that change your approach at all to how you prepare for a game like this, or how you even try to defend against what they do?
It does not, to be quite honest with you. It's the second time around. We come into each season knowing that we get 2 shots at divisional opponents. The only thing that might change the texture to it is it might be some player availability circumstances that happened in game one that might still persist in game two, and oftentimes that's not the case. But other than that, it's the second time around in divisional play for us. It doesn't matter for me whether we played them, a week ago or a month ago. We have that experience. We got to put together plans and counter plans based on what transpired, and I'm sure they're doing similar things.
Mike, why does Russ fit in so well here?
I don't know. He's a football guy. He loves football. He likes to work. I think that if you had that general approach, this is probably an easy train to get on because that's my tenor. That's our tenor. We love football. We like to work at it. We like to take the mystique out of performance. You do that through high energy and urgent preparation, and all of those things appear to be naturally him.
Mike, you guys seem to be giving up more chunk plays the last couple of weeks on defense. What do you guys have to show up in your passing game to limit those opportunities?
I'm not ready to acknowledge that as a trend, to be quite honest with you. We played some good offenses and guys have made some plays. We're going to continue with our preparation process and put our best foot forward and hope that we minimize it this time around, certainly.
Mike, Joey was penalized, 57 yards in that game. Is there anything you need to tweak with his kind of approach?
No tweaks in terms of the approach. Certainly, he could have been better from a technical standpoint. In review of the tape, some technical things at the line of scrimmage that oftentimes lead to circumstances down the field could be better. But also, as I mentioned after the game, a component of that is competing against the likes of T. Higgins and his style of play. I felt the same way when we played DK Metcalf late last year, for example. You have to match physicality of these big people, and sometimes you do so at risk, and that's just a tightrope that I and he are willing to walk in an effort to be competitive. One thing we're not going to do is turn it down and allow him to catch the ball. He's a big guy. As you saw that touchdown he had late in the game against Cam Sutton, he is a challenge. And so, when we play Shaq, we're going to use our fouls. We're not going to allow him to get us off the block, if you need a basketball analogy.
Like in the 6 quarters that you've had since halftime in the last Cleveland game, where has your offensive line gotten better, and what can you pull from either against Cincinnati or the second half against the Browns?
I have no idea. I hadn't looked at that small sample size, to be quite honest with you, in an effort to paint a picture. We're just trying to be our best each and every down. We had a bad half. We made some corrections. We went out and played better in the second half. We had a week's preparation last week in an effort to tee up against a familiar opponent, so I don't know that there's any trends there worth mentioning from my perspective.
Mike, is there a challenge in playing a team that they're not going to make it to the playoffs this year? They're maybe more aggressive. They went on fourth down a lot against you guys. Maybe if their season circumstance was different, they would be maybe more conservative. Is there a challenge in that?
I don't care about the circumstances of people we compete against and how it might affect their decision making. I'm just playing to win. I assume that people are going to pursue victory aggressively. That's just a component of the National Football League, particularly as we get into December. And so I think I have that mindset every week. They could be 3-9 or they could be 9-3 and have that same posture. And so that's my general mindset.
Mike, a couple weeks ago, with the Russ had that interception in the end zone when he was targeting Darnell late in the red zone. What does it say about him that last week he adjusted to the game plan, was taking the checkdowns, and was kind of maybe smarter with the football?
I don't know if there's an adjustment there. That's just such a small sample size. Like I was just saying there, we're going to have some plays that we wish we could have back, but it doesn't change our posture in terms of approach, and he's just simply playing subsequent downs and drives and opportunities.
What kind of time is carved out in practice for any kind of improvisation, such as like scramble drills for Russ and the receivers or tight ends?
It's a component of everything that we do. Sometimes we're more intentional about it than others based on a variety of circumstances, talents of people that we play, or the schematics that they deploy. We're capable of thoughtfully extending plays not only for our offense, but for our defense, to make sure that we're capable of functioning under those circumstances. Big plays happen on play extensions for both sides. It can be offensive positivity or offensive negativity. And so it certainly is an area to focus on and work. And during team development, I like for it to happen naturally. But if it didn't happen naturally enough, I'll create circumstances where it does.
Mike, when you're the head coach in one place for as long as you have been, how do you go about ensuring that your voice stays fresh for players? And two, how do you avoid, like burnout in a profession that really can promote it?
You know, that question's easy for me. I love what I do. It's my job and my hobby, so burnout is not a component of the equation for me. I'm excited each and every week about the challenges that this role provides me and us. In regards to the messaging getting stale, I work with extreme urgency because I realize the careers of these players are short. And so my audience is forever changing. And so I'm less concerned about getting stale, and I'm more concerned about matching the urgency that is the short careers of most of these players. You know, there are outliers like Cam that's been in there for, 25 years listening to me, but, I care less about, how he receives the message and more about developing guys like Benton, who's a year and a half into receiving these messages. And, man, I just want to continue to hammer home values and cultural values and how to play and so forth. And so experience has taught me that the stale component is probably overblown because the audience is forever changing.
Mike, on that note, how do you and your coaching staff kind of manage the highs and lows of individual players from week to week, whether it's a T.J. Watt or Dan Moore or Joey Porter Jr.?
I could talk forever about that, or I could give you a two-word answer. The bottom line is that's coaching. Coaching is being what they need you to be, whether it's encouragement or criticisms, not only in your words but in your actions. That's the job. Beyond the strategic component, the motivational component of individuals and collectives, we need to be what it is they need us to be.
Mike, after the game, you said that George needed to grow up regarding the penalties that he had. That's been a recurring thing. Because of that, at what point do you consider changing the approach to work on him minimizing those penalties and situations in game?
I'm not going to give you any detail about what goes on behind the scenes in terms of his growth and development. You know that's my style, and I'm going to be really consistent in it. Being transparent with you guys doesn't necessarily help or accelerate the growth process, and that's my agenda, not necessarily feeding the beast.
But is it a concern that he's had these penalties that are costly?
If it is or isn't, I wouldn't necessarily tell you, to be quite honest with you.
Mike, you threw the ball to your run people. 3 passes to Michael Pruitt, you targeted. Ben caught one pass and then another 3 to Cordero. Is that a matter of changing your tendencies, wanting to change your tendencies, and is that just part of coaching and schematics?
I think it's being inclusive, man, and spreading the ball around, and Russ did an awesome job of that. I think when you do that, you make yourself a really tough group to manage and defend, and sometimes that's done through a variety of ways. Maybe it could be intentional on your part. Maybe it's just simply taking what the opposing defense is giving you schematically. Their attention might be on more known and consistent targets. And so neither here nor there for us. Spreading the ball around is a good thing, certainly.
Mike, you guys had more yards after the catch in that game Sunday than any team had all year. Is that something that you guys think you can replicate more often this season, just with the playmakers that you have?
It has been our mindset since the early stages of team development. We've placed Mike Sullivan in charge of run after. He's a run after catalyst for the group. Sometimes if you want to point an emphasis in a certain area, you put somebody in charge of it, you allow them to own it. Grady Brown's in charge of the turnover culture on defense, for example. And because those are spaces that we want to dominate, we want to be a lead in. We believe it makes our process of the pursuit of victory more fluid. And so we're excited about that. It's not haphazard, it's very intentional, and hopefully it continues.
How does Russ's experience help that, with pre-snap recognition to getting the ball out in the right spots?
Russ's experience helps with everything. You could apply that to any discussion. He's been doing it at a high level for over a decade, certainly.
What does the ability to play 3 outside linebackers do for your defense? And now that you have your full complement from one of the few times this season, do you think you could do it more?
It's pretty exciting, isn't it? Let's see where the roads lead, man. We got a week of prep. You can't run out of rushmen. I'm so excited about the potential of getting Alex Highsmith back and, the development of Herbig, the acclimation of Preston. You can't run out of Rushman, particularly in December. And so it's exciting. Make no mistake, there's enough work for all parties involved, and we're excited about sorting that out as we prepare.
You talked about moving the ball around. How much more does it need to be moved around to get Mike involved, or when perhaps can he get into the dominoes here?
It's going to happen. It's simply a matter of time. I was really encouraged by the playmaking that he made during the week in preparation for the game, and oftentimes when you're making plays in preparation, it ultimately shows up in play. And so I don't think any of us are pushing the panic button in that regard. I think all of us are just, anxiously awaiting what we're looking at day to day to turn up with a higher level of consistency in stadium in terms of the opportunity.
Mike, last time you played the Browns, you were facing a short turnaround in a hostile environment and the weather conditions. How much does this maybe play in your favor this time?
I hadn't thought about it, to be honest with you. Some of those variables that you mentioned are things that I ponder late in the week where there's less speculation about weather conditions and so forth. At the early stages of the week, man, I'm just leaning in on the strategy, the player matchups, and the divisional labor component of planning.
Mike, on that 43-yard slant to Van Jefferson, Russ is at the line of scrimmage. Is he going through some different checks? Is he changing the play, or is that just an example of his experience? Potentially.
And it is an example of the latitude that experience provides, not only in terms of getting us in the correct plays, but just the communication component in a hostile environment and working the play clock and some of those things. That's what I mean. There's not a equation or circumstance where his experience doesn't weigh in a positive way in terms of some of the things that happen in play.
Mike, what can you say about Arthur Smith and how his work has played out this year as far as building off of success early on and getting more results from your guys' offense that season?
Man, having a lot of fun with Arthur. He's wired like I'm wired. He is a big-time competitor. He's excited about the next challenge. He cares less about what's in our rear view, only in terms of how it helps us get better. He's loving being a component of this AFC North football, and so I'm excited about continuing to go with him and what waits on us this week.
Mike, is there something about Joey's comportment that sort of allays any concerns about one bumpy week sort of bleeding into the next?
Heck yeah, man. He's got a serial killer's mentality. But if you're going to be a top-flight corner, you better. And that's probably one of the things that I knew about him because of our personal relationship that really made me comfortable drafting him. It's not fake, it's real. He's not running from the fight, he's running to the fight. You better have a short memory at that position, and he's always had it. He was probably 9 or 10 when I met him, and he had it then.
Can you expand on the serial killer mentality?
Meaning that, he's a competitor. He's running to it. He's ill-affected by the outcome of plays. His confidence is unflappable, and all of that is needed.
Mike, Cam Sutton got the majority of the snaps over Beanie Bishop. What was the reasoning for that decision?
Just the complexities of what they do offensively, the fact that we were facing Joe Burrow, some of the challenges in terms of how they move people around. I thought it would benefit us to have a more veteran guy in the interior of our sub package, and it would aid us not only in terms of concept recognition but communication. Beanie still played in the game, and he's going to be a big-time component of what we do, and we're pleased with his contributions thus far. But week in and week out, we divide the labor up in an effort to win that game, and that's why we were so excited about getting Cam back. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's an awesome communicator. He's a high-level professional. And you have an opportunity to utilize those talents in a game like that. It's helpful. There's some things that Beanie does better than him. And so it's just really cool to have viable, capable guys for circumstances because we're going to divide the labor up as we see fit in an effort to position ourselves to win football games and in that case, play good defense.
Anyone else?
Mike, you gonna watch Hard Knocks?
Absolutely not.
All right, we'll end on that.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely not.
There's always a Hard Knocks question.
Well, that series begins tonight, doesn't it?
It
It'll
does,
be
9 o'clock.
interesting.
Yeah, we were just watching one of the preview videos.
Yeah, so that I'm sure all eyes will be on that one because all 4 AFC teams in the North are going to be featured on this one. Let's talk about the last AFC North game, Missy. You were there. Did you expect that many points? It's the most points ever scored in the Bengals-Steelers rivalry.
Very crazy. I mean, I think you knew going in what Joe Burrow and company have been doing on offense despite not having more wins than losses. But for the Steelers to also put up 44, I understand both teams had defensive touchdowns as well. It is just, it's not AFC North football that you're used to seeing, but I think based on what they're able to do, Russell Wilson and company had to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow and his side in terms of keeping up with the points, and it was good to see that that is something that the Steelers are capable of doing and have in their bag. And after watching, I fell asleep during the Monday night game, but we saw what the end score was of that one as well, involving the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and you may expect that to happen when they come to town this week because they threw it 58 times. Jameis Winston seems to be at his best when he does it, also at his worst when he does it because there's some interceptions that come as a result of it. But, the Steelers recognized that Cincinnati's defense was struggling coming into this, so they took advantage of it. They went down the field. You saw the touchdown to Calvin Austin. Got one to Freiermuth. He spread the ball around. So it was, take what they give you, and they gave a lot, and the Steelers took a lot. And that's how you win 44-38. We're going to take a break here. Missy and I will continue, and we'll recap some of the high moments of the Mike Tomlin press conference right here live on KDK Plus and Steeler digital platforms.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
And here's the roar of the crowd at Acrisure Stadium.
This is what it's all about. You've got this whole place rocking.
Picked off, touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, the crowd loving it.
I can't even believe that I just saw what I saw.
T.J. Watt with a sack.
Sensational.
Russ, when you come into a game like this, did you know, I know you guys came on strong, did you expect to get in a bit of a shootout, and you just describe what you guys were?
Yeah, I thought we had a great day. I mean, it all starts with the offensive line. I thought they did a tremendous job. Multiple looks up front and all the things they do and the multiplicity of their defense. I thought, the O-line handled it in a great way. We got to a lot of checks, a lot of audibles, a lot of moments in time, and in the run game and the pass game, getting to stuff that was favorable looks and everything else. And I just think guys did a great job making plays. I mean, I thought George made a great catch down the sideline. I thought Pat's plays on his scrambles and also too just how he was painting clear pictures. I always say the best receivers are always painting a clear picture. Those guys were painting great pictures today. I thought guys made a lot of plays. I thought Naj ran the ball extremely well. That was huge for us in our run game, and he just had a great day, man. And I thought just everybody was a great team effort. And then when you see the defense just respond, make plays for us after we have some great responses, they made a huge play. Obviously, thought Herbert had a great game rushing off the edge. TJ obviously is best in the world. Cam Hayward, our leaders, really stepped up in a huge way today. I think that was really critical. Obviously, it was always cool to see my fellow NC State guy, Peyton Wilson, score a touchdown too. So, it was just fun, man. We just had a great time. We knew it was a matchup. We knew it was going to be a heavyweight fight. I kept telling guys it's going to be a heavyweight fight, and we got to win it.
Did you like the way, because of that, the way the offense responded, knowing it might turn into a shootout?
Yeah, I thought the best thing we did today was respond in the midst of adversity. I thought that we did a great job of scoring touchdowns, making plays. We felt like there was more plays out there too that we could have had. What it really is a testament to our coaching staff, it's a testament to our players, and our work ethic.
Want to get gear direct from the team? Shop all things black and gold at the official Steelers Pro Shop located at Acrisure Stadium. Get the latest sideline apparel and hats, jerseys of your favorite players, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can only find here. Don't forget, you aren't game day ready without a terrible towel. The Steelers Pro Shop has everything you need to be part of the legendary Steelers Nation. Come experience the Acrisure Stadium shopping environment or shop online at shop.steelers.com.
It's the second time around. We come into each season knowing that we get 2 shots at divisional opponents. The only thing that might change the texture to it is it might be some player availability circumstances that that happened in game one that might still persist in game two, and oftentimes that's not the case. But other than that, it's the second time around in divisional play for us. It doesn't matter for me whether we played them, a week ago or a month ago. We have that experience. We got to put together plans and counter plans based on what transpired, and I'm sure they're doing similar things.
Well, the last time they met, Missy Matthews, it was a snow globe game, which, of course, may or may not happen here. I doubt it based on looking at the weather forecast, but that's one thing that will change. What won't change is the intensity of this battle. Cleveland, they regarded that as their Super Bowl, and I would imagine they do it again, although the Steelers should also look back at that game and say, okay, you're coming to our place now. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, and when you look at it from the Steelers' perspective, it was a short week. You were heading on the road to Cleveland. Yes, it's a bus ride, but you're still traveling, not in the comforts of your home. This week, not the same. They still have more days to prepare, but the Browns were in Denver on Monday night, so probably got home early this morning as they prepare for another AFC North matchup with the Steelers. But you knew you were going to play all of the AFC North teams twice this year. I feel like it happens all the time where you're playing, the same team twice in a short span. This is twice in 3 weeks, but nonetheless, it is what it is, and this will, this will be the last of the 4 straight division matchups the Steelers had before dealing with Philly and, the rest of their schedule at the end.
Kevin Stefanski, even though he used to rely on Nick Chubb, I should say, don't seem to be as dependent on him, or maybe it's still, he's coming back from that awful injury and maybe it's not responding as quickly as they will. Whatever the case may be, Jameis Winston's a down-the-field thrower. I didn't expect to see 58 passes yesterday from them, but they may come here with the same mentality, just throw the ball all over the place. When you see that, I would imagine the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to rise to that occasion and take that challenge on, because there could be some pressure up front that would result in turnovers, and the Steelers have made a living at turning the ball over on defense.
Yeah, winning the turnover battle is something that the Steelers defense, as you said, thrives on and commits to trying to do every single game. I do think, as you said, the snowfall and the cold weather and what that was like that Thursday night in Cleveland, very different, more apt for running the ball than passing it. Even though we saw both teams, Russell Wilson threw more, it felt like, in the second half of that game. But still, as you said, the weather forecast looks a lot better here in Pittsburgh on Sunday, but I think that also played into it. And, Nick Chubb had a big game on that Thursday night. Maybe it's something lingering with the injury. But I would, as Coach said, always prepare to face Mr. Chubb.
One of the things we saw in that first game was Myles Garrett had a big night with 3 sacks. Dan Moore was the guy. Dan Moore responded very nicely against Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati. I would imagine that's going to be, a matchable watch, as well as the other side of it where TJ Watt got double teamed quite a bit. They're going to find ways, I think, to free him up. So that will be interesting to watch for the second time around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he wrecked that game, especially in the first half, is where he got those 3 sacks. And as Coach explained, after that game and heading into this one, just the energy he brought, he's one of those leaders of the entire team. The guys kind of follow. You could just feel the dog pound getting into it, and it just started to have that snowball effect, no pun intended. But I feel like Dan Moore has done a good job previously against Myles Garrett, so it's just a matter of that O-line taking that performance, especially what they did in Cincinnati, and playing so well together and translating that into another game against the Browns.
So that game will be 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have it for you. We also have our pregame show beginning at 11:30 a.m. on KDK TV, and then 2 hours afterwards, we'll break it all down and talk to Chris Hoke, former Steeler nose tackle, about that. We'll take a break, come back with more of the Mike Tomlin press conference on this Tomlin Tuesday, right here live from the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex.
Our fans are here. Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
And here's the roar of the crowd at Acrisure Stadium. This is what it's all about. You've got this whole place rocking. Picked off, touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, the crowd loving it. I can't even believe that I just saw what I saw. TJ Watt with a sack. Sensational.
Najee, coming in, did you think this was a game that, because of the way the Bengals can score points, that it would test your offense, and do you like the way you guys respond?
Yeah, they have an explosive offense all throughout every position. tight end, running back, receivers, and of course they got Joey B. So, we knew that this was going to be, kind of a scoring game. Not to say nothing bad against our defense, but, they are good players across the other side too, and other teams. So we know that, we got to do what we got to do, and defense is going to do what they're doing. That's the team part of this thing.
What went well today with the screen game and the quick passing game?
Yeah, we just knew exactly what they was going to do, and bringing certain pressures and certain looks that we knew that we was going to have. It's going to be big plays on all these screens and stuff like that, in these passing things. So we took advantage of that. We knew exactly what they was going to do, and we took advantage of it.
What does it say with this offense that 10 different guys can catch passes and you guys can play at this level?
I mean, it just shows how versatile we are. We're establishing run, and also we want to establish the pass. We want to be, we want to be a one-dimensional team. We want to be both. And it showed out today. A lot of guys came in, a lot of guys played and performed and made big plays for us. So it just shows you the type of offense that we are, and we could become even better.
What did you see out of your offensive line? You have like Broderick Jones, Frazier, they moved.
Frack Frazier, yeah, everybody, man. They did a great job. Like I always give credit to the O-line, but especially the tight ends, though. I think that all them guys came in there and did a great job of just, of just accepting the challenge that Mike T placed upon them, and and we took advantage of that. And that's what it comes down to. All of us got to, create those explosive plays, runs. It takes all of us, the line and the tight end, running backs. It takes all of us and receivers, and that just shows it today.
Want to get gear direct from the team? Shop all things black and gold at the official Steelers Pro Shop located at Acrisure Stadium. Get the latest sideline apparel and hats, jerseys of your favorite players, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can only find here. Don't forget, you aren't game day ready without
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
And here.
He's a football guy, He loves football. He likes to work. I think that if you have that general approach, this is probably an easy train to get on because that's my tenor. That's our tenor. We love football. We like to work at it. We like to take the mystique out of performance. You do that through high energy and urgent preparation, and all of those things appear to be naturally him.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin talking about Russell Wilson, how and why he fits in so comfortably here. Seemed like he was basically just discarded in Denver. They didn't want any part of him despite that big contract. They were willing to pay the contract. What a good move it was by Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin and company to bring him in here, as well as Justin Fields. And now it was Tomlin who made that decision. And it was not an easy one because there are a lot of people talking about, well, Justin Fields is 4-2, Missy. Why would they take him out? He's winning football. He wanted to see what this would look like, and what it looks like is 28 points a game on average since he's been in there.
Yeah, 5-1 as a starter since taking over, and I think especially what you saw against the Bengals, just some of those throws, even the players themselves were talking about how impressive it was, and just being able to check in and out of plays, the veteran leadership that he brings, not only to keeping that offensive unit together, but being able to do things at the line of scrimmage is something that has really helped. And even Najee Harris bluntly put it that not since his time with Ben Roethlisberger has he felt like they've had a guy like this with that veteran presence and personality.
So you saw that play right there. That was the first of many where we saw little checkdowns, delayed reaction by running backs going into open areas and turning it into yak yards that turned out to be first downs. They must have seen something, knowing that Cincinnati, is trying to protect against the deep ball, the moon ball, whatever you want to say. But those plays were readily available, and Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson said, okay, thank you very much.
And when you're getting 6 to 10 yards a pop on them, and they're right there, why not take them and continue to, move the markers and get downfield? And as Coach even said earlier, just about the red zone efficiency, that continued to improve. That's something that the Steelers, have been dogged about in terms of not being efficient there. That was something that was good, and the complementary response on offense that he talked about, when the Bengals did something or got points, Russ and company being able to add 3 or 7, usually to keep going back and forth.
Yeah, no question about that. I think the offensive line did a good job too. On this occasion, he's rolling, but most of the time, he was protected in that pocket. And he's one of those guys in the pocket. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he can't throw over the middle because of it. Well, he'll disprove it with blows like that to Calvin Austin because of his size. But, man, you give him protection, and you see the speed of Calvin Austin. That middle of his it looked to me like the same play we saw in Cleveland when they scored.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think spreading the ball out as well. I mean, Ben Skoranek caught a pass. You saw Cordero Patterson, Michael Pruitt. You can go through the list of all of those guys, I think, keeping the Bengals defense guessing. And, of course, some of the injuries that they're dealing with played a part in it, too. But the Steelers attacked what wasn't working for them and kept rolling with what worked.
There's no question about that. When you get the kind of offense they got in that game, you expect more of it. The Steelers, though, I would imagine, don't want to get involved in shootouts just because it does stress you out a little bit as a fan, but it also stresses out your defense, too. They want to play the way they want to play, which is ball possession still. But Mike Tomlin talked about in his press conference the red zone efficiency, which was much better in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the Steelers defense, you saw the big splash plays, the strip sacks, recovering the fumbles, the things that we're used to seeing, but agree with, you know, the amount of points, the amount of yards, those kinds of things. The chunk plays is something that I know they're going to want to clean up, and they're not satisfied with giving up that many points.
Nobody does the strip sack better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And 1 and 2 in the league are T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig at doing that. And if you're a quarterback, you better be aware at all times they're around. We're going to take a break, come back with more of our Tomlin Tuesday coverage of this Mike Tomlin press conference in advance of the Steelers and the Browns coming up on Sunday right after this.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
And here's the roar of the crowd at Acrisure Stadium. This is what it's all about. You've got this whole place rocking. Kicked off, touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, the crowd is loving it. I can't even believe that I just saw what I saw. T.J. Watt with a sack. Sensational.
What did you see on that scoop and score on there?
I mean, I just had the easy job. You know, someone made an amazing play. Honestly, to this point, I still don't know who it was because we obviously haven't watched the film, but just saw the ball on the ground. And if y'all saw earlier, I missed the one earlier. I was trying to scoop and score that one. Probably should have just jumped on it, but just by God's grace, I mean, I got another opportunity and was able to score. So.
Peyton, I know last week you guys had talked a lot about wanting to make that big play and not being able to against Cleveland. What does it say about the way this defense was able to respond and make those big plays in those moments?
Yeah, I think it just starts all the way up top with Mike T. You know, we didn't make any of those massive splash plays last week. We had a few turnovers, but none crazy splash plays. So just, you know, the way that we come back this week in practice, and Coach Grady, who's our ball culture guy, I mean, he just instills it into us. So credit to the way that they are up top and continuing to just be on us every day.
Do you think this is kind of a statement win for you guys today?
I mean, we try to win every one. Obviously, I mean, credit to the offense. They played lights out today. We let up too much points and yards, but I mean, you got to win every game. It's December football. I'm kind of learning that my first year, but TJ, the older guys, I mean, this is why you play football, to play in December football. So you just got to find a way each Sunday to get a win, no matter how you do it.
Are you kind of getting a sense of what that?
Next.
Are you kind of getting a sense of what AFC North football is your first year?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter record, scores, any of that. The best team's going to win. Not the best, whoever plays the best that day. It's so much momentum and so much physicality in this division. It's awesome to be a part of. And if you're a true football player, you want to be in this division.
You mentioned that momentum. It was back and forth so much the first half. How do you keep it on your side when it's that way?
I think it's just executing. Complimentary ball. You know, we go out there, get a stop, then, you know, we have an amazing punt return team. Calvin's going to do what Calvin does, then the offense comes out. It's just kind of like the cycle of death.
Want to get gear direct from the team? Shop all things black and gold at the official Steelers Pro Shop located at Acrisure Stadium. Get the latest sideline apparel and hats, jerseys of your favorite players, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can only find here. Don't forget, you aren't game day ready without a terrible towel. The Steelers Pro Shop has everything you need to be part of the legendary Steelers Nation. Come experience the Acrisure Stadium shopping environment or shop online at shop.steelers.com.
I work with extreme urgency because I realize the careers of these players are short. And so my audience is forever changing. And so I'm less concerned about getting stale, and I'm more concerned about matching the urgency that is the short careers of most of these players. You know, there are outliers like Cam that's been in there for, 25 years listening to me, but, I care less about, how he receives the message and more about developing guys like Benton, who's a year and a half into receiving these messages. And, man, I just want to continue to hammer home values.
Well, he does a very good job of that. Mike Tomlin talking about why his messaging does not get old. You hear that a lot covering sports, Missy, that, well, the message from the head coach is not being heard. It's not being delivered. Well, he has a unique way of communicating. I think that's a plus for him. But I thought his answer was really insightful there, that he has a whole new group of audiences almost every year because there are new guys coming in and going, and most of these guys do not last very long in the NFL.
Except for Cam. He did
Except
take the
for
shot at Cam.
25
years, yeah.
That's even better. If he's around 10 more years from now, that's going to be quite a story.
Yeah, he always calls him his bodyguard. That's why they're always the last two to walk on and off the field. But I totally agree, and I think that's why, sometimes it sounds like the Tomlinisms can be repetitive, but it's very quickly you learn whether it's a drafted guy that comes in or a free agent, how quickly they are using Tomlinisms and answering answers to the media or to each other. So it's something they do pick up on, and that's why he uses them, so that the message is consistent. And anybody who's played for him or has been around him will tell you he's very black and white, where things stand, and he doesn't really sugarcoat things.
I thought he used one today that I hadn't heard. When you play Shaq, you got to use all your fouls. Talking about Joey Porter and some of the problems he had last week, and I think he really understands it. Joey is going to use that as motivation moving forward, and he will respond because you have to have a short memory in sports. But I hadn't heard that one, but it's true. You get big guys like that, sometimes you got to play them tight. Maybe the ref will call it, maybe they won't. In this game, they called it a lot on him, but he seems to have that bounce back ability.
Yeah, I think he also mentioned the serial killer instinct that he said he noticed with Joey Porter Jr. at age 9 or 10. But I think being able to use analogies like that, where all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, got it, that makes sense, is another way of why he's such a good communicator.
What's your favorite Tomlinism, since we're on the topic? There's so many of them. I like the drink wine, squash grapes.
Of course you do.
Well,
you love wine.
I like Cabernet.
I like excuses are the tools of the incompetent.
That's a good one as well.
Or contusion of the birth certificate. He first used that for Troy Polamalu, why he got a day off in training camp. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. And again, I think those guys, as you said, they use it in their own vocabulary, which is amazing how that all transpires. The Mike Tomlin message is not getting old. You don't have 18 straight seasons where you are in this battle all the way to the end. Most NFL, in fact, most sports teams, you're going to go through cycles. They've avoided those. Now, obviously, they want to win more playoff games, and this year looks like it's heading in that direction. Hopefully, we'll find out as the weeks go on. But up next, it's Cleveland. We'll come back and talk about some of the injuries and updates there. Missy will have that for you when we continue right here on KDK Plus and Steeler Digital platforms.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
And here's the roar of the crowd at Acrisure Stadium. This is what it's all about. You've got this whole place rocking. Picked off, touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, the crowd loving it. I can't even believe that I just saw what I saw. T.J. Watt with a sack. Sensational.
Yeah, huge. Obviously, AFC North football, especially on the road. If you want the ball to come through Pittsburgh, you have to win on the road, especially in the North. And it feels great to get a win. We knew it was going to be a shootout. Our offense did a great job of putting up points. Russ had a hell of a day, and we were able to create splash. Dante again, and obviously Herb are guys that are continuing to show up, and that's stuff that we preach. Again, Denzel Martin's been key point of takeaways and everybody wanting T-shirts and all that stuff. So it's been a good culture so far.
It's nice to know that the offense can do that in a game where you're going to need them when you know it's playing.
100%. I mean, elite defenses spend a lot of time on the bench. I've said it ever since I've been here, and we've been spending a lot of time on the bench this year, and it's been great to see the offense continue to move the ball like they are.
TJ, can you describe your strip sack and the momentum you thought maybe it gave your team?
Just trying to make a play. Just anytime we're on the ball, just trying to continue to ball search and try to make a play, create a turnover. Joe did a great job all game of stepping up through that B gap and climbing the pocket. And that was just a way of retracing and getting after the football and creating a play.
TJ, you lined up several different spots in this game. Was that something you guys were saving for this week, this component? Is that something that you guys have been working on to feature?
Just something that we're continuing to work on. I think I told you guys on Friday, like we're going to continue to try to move around and find those one-on-one matchups, the matchups throughout the week, and something we're dipping our toe in the water, and I'm sure the package will continue to grow, or not even a package, but moving around will continue to grow as the year goes on. Hayward? I mean, he's an old dude that's playing some really good football, very stout. I know he wants to be out there every snap, but he's making every single snap that he's in there count. A guy that's just a true leader, a true Steeler, one-helmet guy.
Want to get gear direct from the team? Shop all things black and gold at the official Steelers Pro Shop located at Acrisure Stadium. Get the latest sideline apparel and hats, jerseys of your favorite players, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can only find here. Don't forget, you aren't game day ready without a terrible towel. The Steelers Pro Shop has everything you need to be part of the legendary Steelers Nation. Come experience the Acrisure Stadium shopping environment or shop online at shop.steelers.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good news on the injury front, Pomp. Coach Tomlin saying he fully expects Alex Highsmith to return from that ankle injury. Got hurt in Washington, so he's missed, this chunk of the AFC North games. Would be great to have him back with Cleveland. TJ Watt's healthy, Nick Herbig. You want to see all those guys, Preston Smith. In terms of Corey Trice, Montravius Adams, and Calvin Austin III, who was evaluated for a head injury in Cincinnati. Those guys, their practice week will kind of dictate what their availability will be for Sunday against the Browns.
Well, Calvin Austin, you hope he's okay, because he's really, I think his role has increased naturally because he's making plays when called upon. And his speed is a hard thing to contain. I've always admired how on punt returns, he doesn't give up the ball. That's not a jinx, so don't accuse me of that if it should happen. But he's
pulling this up if it happens.
He's punt returns for touchdowns. He's secure in that. That's a big advantage. And I think just his role is expanding as it should.
Yeah, and I think he has a great relationship with Russell Wilson. The little things that they work on that Russ has said before and after practice has really helped, as you've seen in terms of his play and finding the end zone.
Yeah, and one of the bigger plays of that game when they sealed it was a Van Jefferson route, and I still don't understand what Cincinnati was expecting there. The cornerback went to the outside instead of the inside, and man, it was just put the game away. And you talk about awareness, Russell Wilson knew that was the one-on-one matchup that he wanted to get, make it, game over.
Yeah, and we've seen some of Van's crazy catches, just even that one before his first touchdown. I think that was, again, it was the Jets or the Giants. It was a home game. But we've seen that as well, and it's good to see, as we said, that he spread the ball out and that a lot of guys are getting touches and are part of this offense that defenses have to account for.
Always a pleasure, Missy. Look forward to doing it again next week.
You got it.
So coming up this Sunday, it's the Steelers and the Browns. Jim Nantz and company will be in town. It's a big game. We'll start at 11:30 a.m., 2 hours of postgame afterwards on KDK. So join us for that. And we're going to wrap it up and say thank you for joining us here today as Mike Tomlin concludes the press conference. And now it's on to the work week as the Browns come to town on Sunday. For Missy Matthews, I'm Bob Pompiani. Have a great day, and we'll see you again next week.